Welcome to MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things magic. The Brothers War has released, so it's time to evaluate it and the corresponding commander cards for any possible improvements that can be made to any of the EDH decks housed in the Burgeoning Commander Catalog. The Burgeoning Commander Catalog has grown. So, beginning with this video, our EDH set reviews will change its format ever so slightly. If there are cards that fit into numerous decks residing in the BCC, then they will be grouped together in a section of the video called Making an Impact, as opposed to the same card being evaluated during various deck segments in the same video. Also, if there are no cards that reasonably upgrade a deck residing in the BCC, then we will not feature that deck during the video. All BCC decks are listed in the description below, and if there are any decks that can improve with any of the cards from the Brothers War that we did not mention, then let us know in the comments section below. There, we will share our reasons for omitting any cards, or we will acknowledge our lapse in judgment and neglect, praise you for your recommendations, and discuss how to include these cards. With these shifts in our BCC review videos in mind, let's get on with our video. Soul Partition exiles target non-land permanent at instant speed for 1 and 1 white mana. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast by an opponent this way costs 2 generic mana more to cast. Notice that if we own the non-land permanent, we do not pay the tax. That's for an opponent. This card provides versatility from combat chicanery and blinking shenanigans to preventing removal and disrupting an opponent. Soul Partition should climb the ranks of most popular white cards played in the EDH format. The Stasis Coffin is a legendary artifact for 3 generic mana. We can pay 2, tap and exile it, and gain protection from everything until our next turn. No targeted spells, no combat damage. This card may become the most played Brothers War card in Commander because it can be played in any deck. Its instant speed, temporary Progenitus-like ability can be activated by any combination of 2 mana. With no limitations or restrictions holding the Stasis Coffin back, it should become the most played artifact that's not an equipment or that doesn't provide a mana ability in the EDH format. The primary win condition of our Xenagos God of Revels deck is combat damage. This win condition can be improved by replacing any creatures from the current 99 of this build with more powerful options. In addition, any new cheat-and-to-play spells and effects, as well as any new forms of combat enhancement, will be assessed for possible inclusion. Cityscape Leveler is an 8/8 construct artifact creature with trample for 8 generic mana and an unearth cost of 8 generic mana as well. When we cast Cityscape Leveler and whenever it attacks, we destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a tapped Power Stone token, which taps to add 1 colorless mana that can't be used to cast non-artifact spells. We're replacing an opponent's destroyed non-land permanent with an artifact token that is only useful to cast artifact spells is not a detriment by any means. With Xenagos on our side of the battlefield, we can cast Cityscape Leveler, destroy target non-land permanent, move to combat, target the Leveler with Xenagos' combat trigger, making it a 16/16 trampler with haste, send it into combat, destroy another target non-land permanent, and bear down on an opponent with a massive evasive creature. After it dies, we can unearth it and send it into combat 1 more time and destroy 1 more non-land permanent. That's 3 total non-land permanents and, hopefully, a lot of combat damage. This artifact creature is going to fit very well into the 99 of this deck, and Xenagos fans everywhere should rejoice. The primary win condition of our Edgar Markov deck is combat damage. This win condition can be improved by replacing any vampires from the current 99 of this build with more powerful options. In addition, any new tribal spells and effects, as well as any new forms of combat enhancement, will be assessed for possible inclusion. For the purposes of flavor, any vampire-specific cards also will be evaluated. Tocasia's Welcome is an enchantment for 2 and 1 white mana, and it will be welcomed in the 99 by Edgar Markov pilots everywhere. Whenever one or more creatures with a mana value of 3 or less enter the battlefield under our control, we draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. This is as automatic could be. With Edgar Markov, each time we cast a vampire creature spell, we create a 1/1 vampire creature token. Notice the text on Tocasia's Welcome. It says, whenever one or more creatures enter the battlefield under our control. It does not specify non-token creatures. Of course, creature tokens have mana values of 0, which triggers this enchantment and puts a card into our hand. Casting vampire spells and creating vampire creature tokens is the focus of this deck, and once each turn, we benefit from this dynamic by drawing a card. Done and done. The primary win condition of this Cathrol Aspect Warper deck is commander damage. This win condition can be improved by replacing any keyword creatures from the current 99 of this build with more powerful options. In addition, any new keyword-dependent spells and effects, as well as any new forms of combat enhancement, will be assessed for possible inclusion. Scavenged Brawler is a 4/4 construct artifact creature with flying, vigilance, trample, and lifelink for 6 generic mana. For Cathrol fans everywhere, this card from the Mishra's Burnished Banner pre-constructed commander deck from the Brothers' War has 4 relevant keyword abilities on 1 creature, each of which serves as counter fodder for our general's enter the battlefield trigger. As an additional ability, and only at any time we could cast a sorcery, we may pay 5 generic mana and exile Scavenged Brawler from our graveyard and choose a target creature. We put 4 +1/+1 counters, a flying counter, a vigilance counter, a trample counter, and a lifelink counter on that creature. This is a miniaturized Cathrol trigger that can target any creature on the battlefield. I'm not saying we're always going to target an opponent's creature, or ever, but sometimes through some politicking at the commander table, that may become necessary. This creature adds a host of relevant keyword abilities, is easy to cast, and has a versatile exile effect from the graveyard. Cathrol players everywhere will find a slot for this card in the 99 and welcome its presence into their builds with arms wide open. The primary win condition of the Scion of the Ur-Dragon deck is commander damage. This win condition can be improved by replacing any dragons from the current 99 of this build with more powerful options. In addition, any new tribal spells and effects, cheat-and-to-play spells and effects, as well as any new forms of combat enhancement will be assessed for possible inclusion. For the purposes of flavor, any dragon-specific cards also will be evaluated. Draconic Destiny is an aura for 1 and 2 red mana, and we'll stop right there because I know what you're thinking. An aura? No way. No chance. No 2-for-1ing. Not gonna do it. Not for me. You've been hurt by auras. You've been 2-for-1'd more times than you care to remember. I get it. I understand. Auras are a touchy subject in Magic, but hear me out. This aura does something that's as rare as winter roses. It keeps coming back. When enchanted creature dies, we return Draconic Destiny to our hand. This isn't just another aura that languishes in the graveyard after the creature it was attached to dies. We get it back. What else does it do for us? It gives enchanted creature +1/+1, flying, haste, and is a dragon in addition to its other types. Yes, the flying and dragon creature type addition are redundant in a dragon deck, but haste enablement is powerful. Oh, but we're not done yet. Enchanted creature also has pay 1 generic mana. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. That ability is activated by any type of mana. It provides fire breathing to any dragon in our deck, and it's activated by any type of mana. Any type of mana. This is a 5-color deck, and although traditional fire breathing is possible due to the slight flexing of additional red mana in the land base, the potential of utilizing all mana through this aura should not be underestimated. For the purposes of this Scion build, Draconic Destiny gives enchanted creature +1/+1, haste, versatile fire breathing, and it returns to our hand when the enchanted creature dies. This aura can be a win condition in Scion builds, and will be a powerful addition to this deck. Blast Furnace Hellkite, another card from the Mishra's Burnished Banner pre-constructed commander deck from the Brothers' War, is a 5/5 flying and double striking dragon for 7 and 2 red mana. It has the Artifact Offering mechanic, which means that we may cast this spell as though it had flash by sacrificing an artifact and paying the difference in mana cost between this and the sacrificed artifact. And the mana cost includes color. For its last lines of text, creatures attacking our opponents have double strike. Due to their size and power, dragons and dragon decks have the ability to bring opponents' life totals to 0 rather quickly. Providing double strike to every creature attacking our opponents will only expedite this process, which means quicker victories for us. Blast Furnace Hellkite's Artifact Offering mechanic also provides an ambush-like ability during an opponent's combat. As if this dragon deck could not become more powerful, now we add another potential win condition. Thank you, the Brothers' War. The primary win condition of this Morphin the Boundless Shapeshifter with Changeling Tribal deck is combat damage. This win condition can be improved by replacing any creatures from the current Changeling pool with more powerful options. In addition, any new tribal spells and effects, Changeling spells and effects, as well as any new forms of combat enhancement will be assessed for possible inclusion. For the purposes of flavor, any tribe-specific cards also will be evaluated. The Archimandrite is a 0/5 legendary human advisor for 2 in Jeskai colors. At the beginning of our upkeep, we gain X life, where X is the number of cards in our hand minus 4. Whenever we gain life, each advisor, artificer, and monk we control gains vigilance and gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the amount of life we gained. Lastly, we can tap 3 untapped advisors, artificers, and or monks we control to draw a card. Do you remember that changelings are all creature types at all times? So yes, our changelings gain vigilance and get the power boosts until end of turn, and we can tap 3 of them to draw a card. Combat enhancement, card draw. Those are the cogs to the combat engine that drive us to victory in this deck. Additionally, the Archimandrite offers 3 new potential tribes for the Changeling pool: advisors, artificers, and or monks. Which tribe should this human advisor represent as it enters into the Changeling pool? Advisors, artificers, or monks? Let us know in the comment section below. Tawnos the Toymaker is a 3/5 legendary human artificer for 3 in Simic colors. Whenever we cast a beast or bird creature spell, we may copy it, except that the copy is an artifact in addition to its other types. Tawnos will help us flood our side of the battlefield with changelings with its Reflections of Litjara-like ability. Since changelings are beasts and birds, Tawnos is heading into the Changeling pool as the new representative of one of those tribes. Who does Tawnos replace? Soulcatcher's Eyrie is the bird tribe representative and gives all birds +1/+1 for each feather counter on it. Wirewood Savage is the beast tribe representative and puts a card into our hand whenever a beast enters our side of the battlefield. Between the 2 of these candidates, I sense Soulcatcher's Eyrie is the card to be replaced. The direct synergy between Tawnos and Wirewood Savage provides so much more to our game than an Anthem effect. Even without this dynamic, card draw is better than an Anthem, but what do you think? Let me know your choice for replacement in the comment section below. The primary win conditions of this Sisay Weatherlight Captain Enchantments Matter deck are direct damage and life drain. These win conditions can be improved by adding any new shrines to the 99 of this build. In addition, any new Enchantments Matter spells and effects will be assessed for possible inclusion. For the purposes of flavor, any enchantment-specific cards also will be evaluated. Cyclonus the Saboteur is a 2/5 legendary robot artifact creature with flying for 2 Dimir colors. Whenever Cyclonus deals combat damage to a player, it connives, meaning that we draw a card and discard a card, and if we discard a non-land card, Cyclonus gets a +1/+1 counter. After conniving, if Cyclonus' power is 5 or greater, we convert it. Cyclonus the Saboteur converts into Cyclonus Cybertronian Fire, a 5/5 legendary vehicle with flying and the living metal ability, which means that as long as it's our turn, this vehicle is a creature. Whenever this side of Cyclonus deals combat damage to a player, we convert it back to Cyclonus the Saboteur. If we do, then there is an additional beginning phase after this phase. A beginning phase consists of untap, upkeep, and draw steps. We could choose to cast this creature for its more than meets the eye ability, and if we do, then we pay 5 Dimir colors instead, and Cyclonus enters the battlefield as the Cybertronian Fighter. This card, one of 15 different Transformer creature cards, is from the Universes Beyond edition to the Brothers War set, and aside from its evasion and card drawing benefits, Cyclonus provides additional beginning phases. An additional upkeep during our turn triggers all of our shrines again, allowing us to overwhelm the battlefield and our opponents. Under the right circumstances, this additional beginning phase could be viewed as a win condition. This feature alone warrants its inclusion into the 99 of this Enchantments Matter deck. The primary win condition of this Lazav Dimir Mastermind deck is commander damage, and through milling our opponent's libraries. This win condition can be improved by replacing any cards from the current 99 of this build with more powerful options. In addition, any new mill spells and effects will be assessed for possible inclusion. Teresian Mindbreaker is a 6/4 Juggernaut artifact creature for 7 generic mana. Whenever it attacks, defending player mills the top half of their library rounded up. Pairing this creature with Lazav during an attack phase is nightmarish for opponents. Since its mill ability is an attack trigger and not a combat damage trigger, there will be numerous creature card options milled into an opponent's graveyard, into which Lazav could shapeshift before blockers are declared and combat damage is dealt. They'll never know what they're going to get. As an added bonus, the Mindbreaker has Unearth, which means we can get it back and onto our side of the battlefield for one more round of hasty combat. Milling archetypes have a new best friend in Teresian Mindbreaker. The primary win conditions of this Miram Sentinel Worm deck are combat damage and direct damage. These win conditions can be improved by replacing any dragons from the current 99 of this build with more powerful options. In addition, any new tribal spells and effects, cheat-and-to-play spells and effects, as well as any forms of combat enhancement and direct damage will be assessed for possible inclusion. For the purposes of flavor, any dragon-specific cards also will be evaluated. Machine God's Effigy, another card from the Mishra's Burnished Banner pre-constructed commander deck from the Brothers War, is an artifact for 4 generic mana. We may have Machine God's Effigy enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's an artifact, and it has tap add 1 blue mana to our mana pool. This is not a creature, but this artifact has all of the abilities of the creature it copied. In a Miram build, that could be deadly, particularly because it survives any creature-specific removal since it's not a creature. There are numerous abilities of dragons in the 99 that would be even more dangerous if copied. Terror of the Peaks comes to mind immediately, along with Scourge of Valkus, Utvara Hellkite, and Wrathful Red Dragon, to name a few. Also, let's not forget that we can tap it for a blue mana. Miram's about to get a whole lot stronger. The primary win condition of this Rograk Son of Roga and Akiri Line Slinger deck is Commander Damage. This win condition can be improved by replacing any combat-centric spells and effects from the current 99 of this build with more powerful or efficient options. For the purposes of flavor, any new equipment or equipment-specific spells or effects also will be evaluated. Thran Power Suit is an equipment for 2 generic mana and has an equip cost of 2 generic mana as well. The equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it, and it has Ward 2. This deck wants its commanders to carry equipment, and Thran Power Suit buffs the power and toughness of the creature for doing so. There are over 2 dozen equipment in this deck, so it's reasonable to believe that the equipped creature could get a boost of at least +4/+4. In addition, the Ward 2 provides some additional protection. We want to win games with big, evasive, and well-protected commanders, and Thran Power Suit checks enough of those boxes to warrant its inclusion into the 98 of this build. The primary win condition of this Joda the Purifier legendary human deck is combat damage. This win condition can be improved by replacing any legendary humans or combat enhancing spells and effects from the current 99 of this build with more powerful and efficient options. For the purposes of flavor, any new legendary humans will be evaluated. Hajar, Loyal Bodyguard, is a 3/3 legendary human soldier for Gruul colors. We can sacrifice Hajar, and if we do, then legendary creatures we control get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn. Hajar's sacrifice is our other creature's gain, as the temporary indestructible shields our army of legendary humans from damage and destruction. In a deck that wins via combat, this form of protection should not be overlooked. And with a suite of recursive spells and effects embedded in the 99, Hajar can keep coming back and will make a fine addition to this legendary human build. Goldbug, humanity's ally, is a 3/3 legendary robot artifact creature for 1 in Azorius colors and prevents all combat damage that will be dealt to attacking humans we control. Whenever we cast our second spell each turn, we convert Goldbug into Goldbug Scrappy Scout, a 1/3 legendary vehicle with the Living Metal ability, which means that as long as it's our turn, this vehicle is a creature. Human spells we control can't be countered, and whenever this version of Goldbug and at least one other human attack, we draw a card and convert Goldbug back into his humanity's ally version. We could choose to cast this creature for its more than meets the eye ability, and if we do, then we pay Azorius colors instead, and Goldbug enters the battlefield as the Scrappy Scout. This card, one of the 15 different Transformer creature cards from the Universes Beyond edition to the Brothers War set, synergizes with our human build regardless of which version of Goldbug is on the battlefield. Overall, Goldbug protects our attacking humans in combat, protects our human spells from being counterspelled, and provides card draw. These abilities are very relevant to this type of build, and Goldbug will make this deck stronger with his presence in the 99. The primary win condition of this Magar of the Magic Strings spell-slinging deck is converting instant and sorcery cards into creatures through Magar's activated ability, and casting copies of these cards without paying their mana costs. This win condition can be improved by replacing any of the instant and sorcery spells from the 99 of this build with more powerful options. Hostile Negotiations is an instant for 3 and 1 black mana. We exile the top 3 cards of our library in a face-down pile, then we exile the top 3 cards of our library in another face-down pile. We look at the cards in each pile, and then we turn a pile of our choice face-up. An opponent chooses one of these piles. We put that pile into our hand, and the other into our graveyard. We lose 3 life. The engine of this deck relies on Magar targeting various instant and sorcery cards in our graveyard for the purposes of reanimating them into creatures. Hostile Negotiations provides another outlet to get these instant and sorcery cards into our graveyard, with the added bonus of putting 3 cards into our hand. Nearly half of the 99 of this deck is comprised of instant and sorcery cards, so each pile made by Hostile Negotiations should provide various instant and sorcery cards from which to choose. Since our deck is so loaded with fodder for Magar, our opponents are in a lose-lose situation, because there should always be targets for Magar in every pile created by this card. Hostile Negotiation's presence in the 99 makes Magar even more powerful. This concludes our review of the Brothers' War for the Burgeoning Commander Catalog. This set is artifact heavy, and since there are no artifact-centric decks residing in the BCC at this time, there are not as many possible upgrades to the decks as previous set reviews have shown. As a reminder, be sure to click the links in the description below to see the deck lists for each of these builds. Are there any cards we left out? Let us know in the comment section below, in addition to your suggestions for replacement. This is MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things magic.